These are funny videos. Reactions are, funny, comical, but like, just be aware what you're giving up, where your money's tied into a prison. All right, we're back in reaction land here. It's Richard Canfield over at the Banker's Vault, and I'm going to do a reaction to a couple more Ally Bank commercials. I'll probably wrap up a bit of a series here. I've done a number of these already, so if you haven't checked them out already, make sure you circle back to some of the other funny commercials that we've done. We like checking out some of these, the good marketing, but also just some of the comedy that comes with, basically how much people dislike banks, and even the banks recognize that it's a problem, and they're coming up with their own marketing to, highlight some of these problems that their competitors have. So let's go ahead and jump into the first one.
Can I have some ice cream, please?
No, it's just for new people. Hey, chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry?
Chocolate.
Chocolate it is.
Yeah, but I'm new too.
He's newer than you.
Even kids know it's wrong to treat new friends better than old friends. At Ally, we treat all our customers fairly, with no teaser rates and no minimum deposits.
I love that because, how often have you been to a bank and of course they've got a promo running, right? That promo is for a new iPad or a new something. So there's a few of these that they've done with kids specifically. I think the next one we're going to do is also with kids. And it's like kids just get things immediately, right? They just like, doesn't make any sense. This is illogical. Like, you're going to give this kid ice cream and I don't get ice cream. Wait a second. I'm already here. Like, I'm already doing it. I've been sitting here on waiting. So like, just imagine that you're a customer at a bank and you've been there for, a year, 5 years, 10 years. Meanwhile, everybody new is getting all this, the introductory rates, the lower fees, and they're getting all this stuff. And they just kind of left you out in the wind, right? Because they've got you as a customer now. And there's something called the pain of disconnect. So sometimes it's harder for you to go and disconnect yourself from that facility because you've got the automated payments and auto debits and all these things set up and arranged, and you're familiar with it. It's kind of like the devil versus the one that you don't. If you have to jump ship, there's all this work you got to do. You still got to go to another bank. You got to go and open it up. You got to fill in the paperwork. You got to get a checkbook. You got like all the hassles. And so sometimes it's just like slightly easier, even though you're like kind of miffed and ticked off, it's just slightly easier to stay with them than it is to pull the plug and disconnect and go over to someplace else. So I think we find that a little bit with people who are learning about and starting to discover the process of becoming your own banker, as written by R. Nelson Nash of Becoming Your Own Banker, because it's a new way of thinking and it can be a little bit daunting at times, a little bit different. And so that's why we have so much content on our channel that you can dig through so you can learn all about how that process works. And Canadians, for the most part, are pretty conservative people in that, we want to have some safety, some security on our money, that sort of thing. It's cold a lot of the year in most places in the country. So we like to know we've got a furnace that's working. We've got, warm blankets, right? We've got a warm house to get through the winter. And you want to make sure you have, that safety, security feeling in a lot of your financial decisions in your money. And so go through the content we've got on the channel. You'll learn a lot about that process and see what it's like to make that change, that transition. And there's even a few recordings with some client stories where you can hear how they've made that transition. But once you kind of make that disconnect and you break free and you start to take more control back of your own financial life, it's really empowering when you get that feeling. And it's like, wow, some of this frustration that I've been having around the traditional banking system, I'm starting to get some of that back one piece at a time. And that's what it's about. It's one piece at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time, one bite at a time. And that's the same way you start to unplug yourself from the traditional banking system as much as possible so you can retain some of that control. So let's go ahead and flip over to the other commercial and we'll react to this bad boy as well. This one is the bike commercial.
Would you like to go for a ride in that bike? Okay. Whoa, yeah. See, the terms require to keep the bike in this predetermined space. If you want to take the bike out, I'm going to have to charge you a penalty.
I can't really ride in this little space.
You can't ride very far.
Even kids know an offer shouldn't come with ridiculous conditions. Why don't banks?
Oh my God, that might be one of the best ones I've seen so far. There's so many places where your money's in a prison, it's in a trap in the traditional, banking and government-sponsored kind of retirement plan mechanism, RSPs, that sort of thing. A lot of these types of tools, they put a prison around your money And it's like, if you feel like you're going to go in there and get at some of it to go use it for something that you need, like a major life event that happens for you, you put your hand in, it's like that ruler comes and it smashes you right away. So there's this like fear that's on our backs around, oh my God, what am I going to have to deal with in order to get access to my money, or breaking your mortgage early, and the pay penalties that are there, all these different things. You start putting money now. At this point, as I'm recording this, interest rates have taken a big jump here recently in the last in this year in 2022. Just had a full percentage point increase with the Bank of Canada. And so suddenly, banks, of course, they're jumping to the marketing machine right away, and they're like, hey, come get a GIC, come lock up your money for a little bit longer. They want to lock up that money so they can sweep those accounts and they can create more lending potential. And so what they want you to do is put your money in a prison, and then they want to scare you around some fear tactics to say, hey, oh, you're going to lose out, or there's a penalty if you break it. Well, the penalty, like a GIC, it usually isn't a penalty. It just means you're not actually going to earn anything. You're gonna have money trapped in there for a while, and if you don't stick to the timing, the 1 year, the 2 year, the 5 year, whatever the timing that you're locking it up for, then you're going to give up that interest, potential. But again, these are just like, they're marketing fear tactics and this fine print and all that stuff. You go and make the decision to put some capital in there, and meanwhile, you can kind of forget about it. You go on to your day-to-day life. You've got the soccer practice, hockey, and the kids, and you're trying to set up family vacation, and Christmas is coming, and the holidays. Like, there's all this, boom, 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 boom. Life is happening. And you don't remember what the exact details on the fine print were for that GIC or that mortgage that you signed, or, all these, tools that we use. And I think that people they feel trapped. And then it's, there's kind of a little bit of, hey, geez, well, did I read that right? Or, hey, my understanding of it, it was going to be like this. And now you need to access to the capital, and you find out it's completely different. So I think that's a great commercial. That's definitely probably well, certainly funny, but one of the best I've seen that is really applicable to how I'm discovering, at least in the communication I'm having with people on a regular basis, how Canadians feel about their money being locked up and trapped. And I did another reaction video recently where we talked about freezing bank accounts. And that's a real legitimate concern for Canadians now, because it's happened. The precedent has been set earlier this year in 2022. And that, you can't get any more frozen or prison on your money than when, big government comes in and they just kind of, collapse your ability to access your livelihood, your ability to transact, to put food on your table for your family and pay your mortgage and all these kind of things. So, yeah, just be aware of this kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, these are funny videos. Reactions are, funny, comical, but like, just be aware what you're giving up, where your money's tied into a prison, and how much control do you have over it. I believe that you should have the most control over your money, and you should stop giving up control to other people, financial professionals, everyone. Stop giving up control of that money and start figuring out and learning how you can have more control over that money so that you can do more with it for as many days and years as possible and as many generations as possible. When you start to develop a generational thinking mindset and you start to look beyond your own lifespan, it's amazing how the ideas and the thought processes that show up when you're doing regular spending, when you're making especially large financial decisions, they begin to shift and change incrementally. And I think it adds way more constructive value to what you're trying to accomplish. And it gives you pause to think about the decisions just a little bit differently. And sometimes that's all it takes to make a decision that's more informed. Anyway, this was a lot of fun. Thanks again for checking out this reaction video. Go ahead and take a look. There's some new ones popping up on the screen. Go check those out. And as always, have fun, but continue your journey of learning.